Nice. The Promenade des Anglais shimmering under the relentless August sun. Azure water met a pale blue sky at an impossibly perfect horizon. The air tasted of salt and sunscreen, alive with the cheerful chaos of summer. Laughter, splashing waves, the distant cry of gulls. And amidst it all, the sweet, cold promise of gelato. Lee presided over this promise from her colorful little cart parked strategically near the striped umbrellas. Day after day, she scooped vibrant mounds of pistachio, stracciatella, fragrant lemon sorbet into crisp waffle cones, a familiar rhythm against the backdrop of the Mediterranean holiday. She saw the fleeting faces of tourists, the sun-kissed skin of locals, heard snippets of a dozen languages. It was a good job, steady, sun-drenched, but sometimes predictable. She watched the ebb and flow of beachgoers, the families building sandcastles, the couples strolling hand in hand. Her eyes often lingered on the musicians who sometimes set up near the promenade wall, their melodies weaving through the beach sounds. Then, one particularly sweltering afternoon, he appeared. Not playing to the crowd, just sitting on the low-sea wall, a well-loved guitar resting against his knee, strumming softly to himself. He had an easy kind of concentration, lost in the chords, seemingly oblivious to the heat or the people passing by. Lee watched him for a while between customers, intrigued by his quiet presence. Eventually, thirst or heat must have won. He slung the guitar onto his back and ambled over to her cart, running a hand through sun-bleached hair. He scanned the tubs of colorful gelato, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Bonjour," he said, his voice pleasant, carrying easily over the beach hubbub. "What do you recommend?" "Something unusual, perhaps?" Lee met his gaze. Most people asked for chocolate, vanilla, maybe strawberry. "Unusual?" She echoed, a playful spark igniting behind her eyes. She surveyed her domain. Her gaze landed on the vibrant green pistachio, rich, nutty, intense. Double pistachio. That felt suitably bold. "Okay," she said, grabbing a fresh waffle cone. "I have just the thing." As she leaned down to scoop, shielding her actions slightly with her body, she moved quickly. On the small paper wrapper nestled inside the cone, where fingers wouldn't immediately touch, she scribbled her name and number with the tiny pencil she kept tucked away. A moment's impulse, a dash of daring fueled by the summer heat and his request for the unusual. She packed the cone generously. 2 large scoops of the bright green gelato, perfectly balanced. She handed it to him with a professional smile. He paid, thanked her, and turned to walk back towards the sea wall, already anticipating the cool relief. He'd taken only a few steps when Lee called out, her voice carrying clearly. "Monsieur." He stopped, turned back, the pistachio cone held carefully in his hand, a questioning look on his face. Lee leaned casually against her cart, adopting an expression of mild, professional concern. "Ah, that cone," she said, gesturing towards the gelato he held. "I think it might be defective." He frowned, looking down at the perfectly formed scoops of ice cream. "Defective? How could ice cream be defective?" "Defective?" he repeated, confused. "OUI," Lee confirmed, maintaining her serious facade, though a mischievous glint danced in her eyes. "There seems to be a small issue with it. You'll probably have to bring it back." She paused, letting the statement hang in the warm air. "Or at least," she added, her professional mask finally slipping into a knowing, challenging smile, "get in touch about a replacement." He stood there for a moment, the absurdity of returning a defective ice cream cone slowly dawning. He looked from the gelato, to Lee's bright, playful eyes, and back again. The confusion on his face began to morph into dawning comprehension, then amusement, and finally, a slow, answering grin spread across his face. The unspoken message, hidden beneath 2 scoops of pistachio, had been delivered. The next move was his. The unusual request had received a truly unusual response.